What is up, Timberlake Church family? My name is Jeremy Cleveland. I was actually on staff at Timberlake about 10 years ago, and here I am in northern Colorado. It is beautiful out here, and we are planting a brand new life-giving church called Zeal City. And so I actually reached out to some of my old friends at Timberlake, and guess what? You guys have been so generous. You have invested in what God is doing here in northern Colorado. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. We are so grateful. Thank you for your generosity up there in Washington, all the way over here to Colorado. God is on the move. We believe that there is a better life with Jesus. There's a better life together, and there's a better life for others. So thank you, and I hope to see you soon.
Well, good morning, Timberlake Church. How you doing? It is so good to see you. My name is Aubrey Sampson. It's been a minute since I've been here, but I love seeing your faces. I love hearing about church plants that Timberlake is supporting and getting behind. My husband and I are church planters in West Chicago. I want to show you a quick picture of us. Our church plant is about 8 years old. We've been married for 23 years. Aren't we? Look at how cute we are. And then these are our 3 boys. I have 3 sons, all teenagers. Dinner time is really inappropriate. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I will not give you examples. Sometimes I'm like, you guys, your mom is in the room. Okay, maybe just like watch some of the things you say, which is actually what we're talking about this morning. We're in a series called Sticks and Stones, like Pastor Dave said, about the power of our words. Last week, he talked about how our words have the power to be destructive, to tear down. Today, we're actually gonna talk about how our words have the power to bring life. The book of Proverbs is this ancient compilation of wisdom from sages, and essentially it's instruction for godly living. And one of the things that Proverbs says is this: the tongue can bring death or life. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences. If you're a talker, there's some consequences for you. But we're gonna talk about that this morning. I wanna begin by giving you a little game around words. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna read some famous words to you, and then I'm gonna say, who said it? And I want you to yell back at me who said it, okay? The first one's pretty easy. I think you might know this. Here's the first one. Love your neighbor as yourself. Who said it? Yeah, that's Jesus. That's the Sunday school answer. Even if you didn't know, you just said Jesus, you were right. Well done. All right, here's the next one. You should probably know this one as well. I have a dream that one day my 4 children will live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Who said it? Yeah, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. All right, I'm hoping I can do this one justice for you. You ready? Yo, Adrian. Who said it? Rocky. That was pretty good, right? It's pretty good. Okay, first service failed at this. This next one. It's a little obscure. We're gonna see how cool you are, okay? I don't know. We'll see. You ready? 'Cause I'm in the stars tonight, so watch me bring the fire and set the night alight. Shoes on, get up in the morn, cup of milk, let's rock and roll. Who said it? Yeah, nobody knows. You guys, I'm very disappointed. This is K-pop. This is BTS. You need to get up on your K-pop knowledge. Okay, next time I come back, we're gonna work on this a little bit together. All right, this is BTS. Hey, words have power. I'm an author, so I love words. I live words. I breathe words. My kids literally are fed by my word count, so words matter a lot to me. Words etch themselves in our cultural memory. Words make worlds. Words evoke emotions. Words change history. Words are these many things packed with mighty consequences. Words have power. Now, we all know this, especially if we're someone who has sent the wrong words to the wrong person, meaning you accidentally sent a text message or an email that was about the person but not for the person. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to raise your hand, but I know some of you have done that. Where you're thinking about them and the content is about them, and so you accidentally send it to them. Or maybe it's like in a group thread at work and you accidentally hit reply to all, but it's supposed to just be reply to one. Oh, it's mortifying. Now, iPhone has that great new update with the undo send button, I'm telling you that undo send button will save lives. It will save marriages, it will save jobs, it is a gift from heaven. But before the undo send button, if you sent the wrong text message to the wrong person, it's just staring at you in the text thread. And you have a few options, right? You can just start flooding the thread with content, just put pictures and songs and YouTube videos and emojis so that hopefully the person doesn't see it. The other thing you can do is just pray it's April 1st. Right? So you can be like, gotcha. And we never accidentally send the text message that's like, man, my boss is killing it today. She's awesome. It's always the text message that's like, my boss is broke down. I don't know if I can, it's never the good text message. The other thing that you can do if you accidentally send the text message or the email is own it. You can be mature and say, I probably shouldn't have done that and learn a life lesson, but none of us want to do that, right? That's awkward. That's horrible. One time, I was pregnant with my second-born son. His name is Lincoln. I went to preschool to pick up my firstborn son. And I struck up a conversation with a mom who was there picking up her son as well, a mom I'd never talked to before. And she was asking me, hey, what do you think you're going to name your son? If your name is Arthur in here, I want you to know I'm really sorry in advance, okay? But for some reason, I just started going off on the name Arthur. I don't know, but what I don't want to name him is Arthur. My husband wants to name our son Arthur, and who names their kid Arthur? He's the aardvark from the cartoon, and no one in the history of conversations has ever said the name Arthur so many times in one exchange. I'm just on a diatribe about the name of Arthur, okay? Well, her son comes running out. You guys, you know the punchline, right? What's his name? Arthur! Her son's name is Arthur! And there's nothing for me to do except I'm so sorry. It's just my husband, blame the pregnancy hormones, and I'm just backing up as fast as I can. I never talked to her again. Arthur and my son Eli never played together after that. Words can be mortifying, right? Those are cautionary tales. They can be awkward, but seriously, on a more serious note, we all know that words can be really damaging. And this is what Pastor Dave talked about last week, words that we've spoken over ourselves or words that others have spoken over us, words that we've received or maybe words that we've spoken over others, words like you're not good enough, you're a failure, you should quit. You have no business doing that. You'll never succeed like they succeed. We all have these poison words that sometimes we use that keep us up at night that we've tried to forget. And the powerful thing about words, how mighty they are. One word can wreck someone's self-esteem. One word can ruin someone's reputation. One word can fracture a relationship. One word can destroy someone's career. On the other hand, the Bible says this about words. The Bible says that gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. Healing words, hopeful words, life-giving words, what the Bible calls honeycomb words, actually can reconcile people and make peace. Healing words can make marriages sweet and families strong and churches healthy. Healing words can give hope to the despairing and advance understanding and help people find their way back to God. Healing words can save lives. I mean that. You probably have experiences like this where somebody sends you a good text message at just the right time. Or you get a card in the mail, or you have some type of empowering conversation, and suddenly your whole posture changes. Your mindset changes. Your thought life changes. That's how powerful our words are. Honeycomb words have command. They have authority to help breathe life and goodness and resilience into other people, and we experience that resilience as well when we receive them. Now, I'm not a CrossFit athlete. I don't know if you can tell, I can barely do a push-up. But one of the things I appreciate about the philosophy of CrossFit is this. Any person who walks into their gym, I think they call them their box. Any person who walks in there, they are called an athlete from day one. So even if, like me, you can't do a push-up, even if you've never worked out before, As soon as you walk into that place, they're calling you an athlete. It's really this biblical concept because they're calling forth who you are in the process of becoming. They're calling forth your future identity. Hey, you're here, you're an athlete. We're gonna start calling you by that name. My sons, I have done this over them since they were little, kind of with that CrossFit mentality in mind. At night before they go to bed, or maybe on a day when they're having a hard day, I'll be like, okay, buddy, come here, give me your hands. And they'll stretch out their hands to me, and I will speak one empowering or encouraging thing over them for each finger. You are loved. You are strong. You are funny. You are brave. I am so glad you're mine. Something like that. And one time my littlest son, he took off his socks and his shoes and he gave me his toes. He was like, Mom, do my toes too. But we all want that type of encouragement. We all want those words spoken over us. Humanity longs for that. Our words have the power to bring hope and healing and life and love and encouragement. Our words have the power to change the trajectory of life for somebody. The book of Genesis, the first book of the Bible, it's a book that's really explaining, especially at the beginning, our ontology, our cosmology, the reason why we're here and how we came to be. And Genesis says something really fascinating about God. It says that God spoke and life was formed. The Bible says that God spoke stars, there were stars. God spoke light, there was light. God spoke animals, there were animals. We don't know exactly how that happened, but what we know is that God is so powerful that he has the authority, the command, the ability to speak, and life occurs. The Bible also says that you and I were created in the image of God. And that means we were meant to reflect and image God wherever it is we go, wherever it is God has placed us. And one of the most powerful ways we do that is with our words. In the same way that God speaks and life is formed, we have been made, we have been created, we have been called to speak life into our neighbors, to speak life into our coworkers, to speak life into our family members. And look, this is not just like a fun, cutesy kind of positive thing to do. This is a way that we live out and embody our image of Godness. Even Jesus, think about Jesus. The guy spoke, get up. And people who were literally as good as dead rose up. That's the kind of power that Jesus had. And Jesus called us to go out and do the same, to tell people about his love and his goodness and his salvation. And Jesus said this in the book of Mark, don't think you need a lot of extra equipment for this. Jesus said, you're the equipment. You have the power to speak life and goodness into other people, to encourage them, to call forth their true identities, and you don't need a lot of equipment, just your mouth. In a world that is bent on squishing and smashing and silencing so many people, Jesus' way of speaking life is a better way. It's something that we can do with no equipment at all. Again, gracious words are a honeycomb. They bring sweetness to the soul and healing to the bones. I want you to listen to this. Andrew Newberg, he's a pioneer in the field of neurotheology, which actually links the brain and spirituality. And he does a lot of research with another guy named Mark Waldman, and they say this about the power of positive words. Positive words and thoughts propel the motivational centers of the brain into action and help build resilience when we are faced with problems. Our advice, choose your words wisely and speak them slowly. This will allow you to interrupt the brain's propensity to be negative. And as recent research has shown, the mere repetition of positive words like love, peace, compassion will turn on specific genes that will lower your physical and emotional stress. You'll feel better, you'll live longer, you'll build deeper and more trusting relationships with others at home and at work. In other words, healing honeycomb words have power. It's like God knows what he's talking about. The research is the same as the Bible's. Poison words have the power to destroy, but healing words bring life and health to our well-being. One of my favorite books in the Bible is the book of Esther, and it's kind of this weird book because God's name is never mentioned, not once. And it's essentially the story of, when it feels like God is absent, when you're like, God, I don't know where you are. It's a story of God actually at work behind the scenes. And it starts out a little bit insane. There's this king named Xerxes, and his wife disrespects him. And because it's this, patriarchal, power society, the guy holds a beauty pageant to get a new wife. It's a gross power move. It's like he's the earliest bachelor, okay? But he holds this beauty pageant. It's not why I like the book, by the way. I like the book because it's the story of irony and reversal. There's this young woman named Esther, and her uncle Mordecai encourages her to enter the pageant. She wins. And she ends up becoming the new queen. Now, ultimately, later on in the story, her people are in danger. And because she's in that position of power, she is able to rise up and rescue them. She went from being this kind of no-name person in her society to being this defiant disruptor and hero to her people. Like if Esther was to put out her hand, we would say, you are a hero, you are brave, you are a boss, you're defiant, you're gonna save people. Now, here's why I'm telling you this story. What does this have to do with the power of our words? There's a really famous moment in the story where Esther's uncle Mordecai sends word to the palace. He's in danger. He knows his people are in danger. He knows she can do something about it. And he says to her, hey, maybe you have been made queen for such a time as this. You are here right now for this specific purpose. He's calling forth her future reality. He's reminding her of who she really is. And that one sentence, that one honeycomb suggestion changed the course of history. A life-giving story was written for Esther, for her community, and God's will was done. Words make worlds. Words change lives. Words alter history. Our words have that same ability to encourage people, to give them power, to embolden them. Maybe don't do this. It's a little weird. I looked up in the Bible how many times the word word or mouth or tongue or lips is there. That's why I said don't look it up in case someone's looking at your Google searches, okay? But it's over 2,000 times. Over 2,000 times the Bible is talking about the power of our words. God's own words are encouraging us, reminding us to choose thoughtful, hopeful, healing words when we speak, because it's rough out there, right? It's rough online. It's rough over text. It's rough on social media. People are trampling each other. Relationships are getting trashed. Friends are getting burned. Poisonous things happen online. We've all seen it. But what if we are here for such a time as this? What if we are here to choose honeycomb words? What if we can be the counter liturgy, the counter action to all of that word vomit out there? What if our words are meant to spark something new and something better over people? God invites us to his way, to choose speech that gives life, that lifts up, because that's who God is. God is a life giver. God is a healer. God lifts up. Going back to our verse, Proverbs 16:24, gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul, healing to the bones. If our words have the power to give life, if our words have the power to bring healing, how do we actually do that? What do we actually do about that? I want to leave you with 3 challenges and just a couple stories. The first thing is this: choose words that tell a better story over someone. I want you to choose words that re-story people. Let me tell you what I mean. I have a really good friend, and this is a hard story. But when she was growing up, for years as a little girl, her mom on her birthday would make her birthday cake. And instead of putting her name on it, she would actually write the word piggy on it. Piggy. And it wasn't cute. This wasn't like a precious little family nickname. This was a poisonous, evil, abusive word. Her mom was, dealing with her own body image issues, and her mom was projecting that onto her daughter. And the message every year at this tender age, on her birthday of all days, the message was, don't eat the cake. Don't eat the cake. Now, I met my friend years later as a young adult. And as you can imagine, this is a woman dealing with a lot of low self-confidence. This is a woman dealing with a lot of self-esteem issues. This is a woman not able to take up all this space that God has for her in this world. But she met Jesus. She started going to therapy. A really good combo, by the way. I would definitely recommend both. And she began to envision a better life for herself. Like, maybe there's actually something more for me. And I was actually at a prayer meeting with her one time, and this may sound weird to some of you, but there was a guy there praying over her, and he actually prayed, hey, I don't know what it is, but I have this sense that there's a childhood message you've heard, and I want you to know that that's a lie. I want you to know that God says you're beautiful, God says you're brave, God says you're bold, God says you're loved. Like, he just started speaking all of these new story, better words over her. And she went home from that event, and she began to do this really cool thing. Now, some of you might think this is sentimental or emotional. I think it's so powerful. Every year on her birthday, she began ordering birthday cakes from a bakery. And every year, in place of that horrible poison word her mom spoke over her, she began to write those words that she heard at that prayer meeting. She had a birthday cake one year that said brave. She had a birthday cake one year that said bold. She had a birthday cake one year that said beautiful. She's done that every year since, just kind of reclaiming and restoring and internalizing the truth about who she is. 10 years later, my friend started an anti-trafficking organization down in Florida because she is speaking a better story over women and girls in that situation. Look, you have no idea how your words, telling somebody true things about them, will change the trajectory of their lives, will bring them healing, will start a ripple effect. And sometimes it's just a matter of listening. Like, you hear people saying things, and you get brave enough and bold enough to stop and go, hey, I'm hearing you say something, but that's not actually true about you. Here's what I see. Or even bolder, here's what God says about you. When we can restore people with better words, I'm telling you, you don't know what God is going to do. Choose better story words. Here's the next one. Choose hopeful, healing, honeycomb words often, intentionally, and consistently. A honeycomb word is worth its weight in gold, but here's the good news. It's an unlimited resource, right? Like, you can use generous words all the time. You can choose them every single day. Pastor Dave last weekend said to put a reminder in our phones to do that. If you haven't done it, I would encourage you to do that as well. But here's what I want you to do. I want you just to take a minute and think about where you're going to be this week. Maybe you're going to be in traffic. Honeycomb words do not come out of me in traffic. Maybe you're going to be at the office. Maybe you're going to be at the coffee shop. Maybe you're going to be at home. I don't know. Think about where you're going to be and imagine for just a second the faces of the people that you're going to run into. I want you to choose to be generous with your healing words over those people this week. Choose healing words. Choose uplifting words. Do it often. Do it intentionally. Like, dole out those words. Stacks on stacks on stacks of honeycomb words. That's the call for you this week. This is an unlimited resource, so you can do it. Here's the last thing. And this probably should have been the first one, because I actually think this is the most important. I want you to choose to become a honeycomb person. Here's what I mean. I want it to matter when you speak. Jesus said this, the words you speak come from your heart. So if you want to speak words that are healing and empowering and honey words, it needs to come from a heart that has been healed and empowered and is flowing with goodness and life. On my 21st birthday, and this is one of my favorite stories to tell, my parents took me to New York City. I won't tell you when it was, but it was over 2 decades ago. and they took me to see my very first Broadway play. It was a little play called Art. So we get to the theater, they paid for really good seats. We're sitting up front, the lights go down, and all of a sudden I hear this kind of like scuffle from the back of the theater, and somebody comes in, kind of a tall guy. He actually climbs over me and he sits down right next to me. The lights go on, the play starts, and I look over and I am sitting by Michael Jordan. Now, I'm a Chicago gal, and so this is a big moment for me. And I didn't even watch the play the whole time. I'm just like looking at Michael Jordan, and I should say looking at Michael Jordan. And when Michael Jordan laughed, I laughed. And I was like, my best friend and I have the same sense of humor, you know? But here's what I'll never forget. At the end of the play, Michael Jordan, my new BFF, on my 21st birthday at the heart of New York City, he looked at me and he said 2 words I will never forget. He said, "Excuse me." And then he got out of his seat and he left. Y'all, Michael Jordan said, "Excuse me" to me. Number 23 said, "Excuse me" to me. I have never forgotten that moment. Now look, I'm about to like derail everything we're talking about, the power of words. It almost did not matter what he said, because he was a man of influence. And so it mattered what he said. Do you know what I mean? Like if some random person had said, "Excuse me," I would not be up here telling you about it. But MJ said, "Excuse me" to me. Now, of course, none of us are gonna have his influence. We can't have influence, and yet, that influence. And yet, God has given every single one of you influence over somebody. There's somebody that you have the power to influence for good, and so you need to be the kind of person that it matters when you speak, that your words have gravitas and weight to them because you've got character and integrity. You're the same on the inside of your home as you are on the outside of your home. So when you say something, man, people listen. People are influenced by that. Be a honeycomb kind of person, a critical heart produces critical words. A self-righteous heart produces judgmental words. A bitter heart produces sharp words, but a grateful heart produces gracious words. A faithful heart produces truthful words. A peaceful heart produces reconciling words. Cultivate the kind of heart and the kind of character so that it matters when you speak. Choose to be a honeycomb person and watch what God does. All right, here's what I want to do. I want to end by speaking some honeycomb words over you. So if you've got all 5 fingers, I want you to stick them out for me. If not, you can give me your toes. If you have on a hat, you can give me your ears. Take your hat off. I'm going to speak these words over you. You are loved unstoppably and known intimately by the God who created the world with his words. You are a leader. You have powerful influence in someone's life, so steward that well by having a honeycomb life. You are intelligent and wise. You have wisdom from God, so trust him, ask him. Ask him to fill you up with those words if you struggle with it. You are a good mom, you are a good dad, you are a good auntie, you are a good uncle, you are a good mentor to somebody. Live into that. You are strong and capable. You can overcome whatever challenge or opportunity comes your way, especially with God's help. That's who you are. That's your identity. Now look, at Timberlake, we're passionate about inviting you to take your next step in your faith journey. And for some of you, it's those first 2. It's just time to start being a lot more generous with those healing honeycomb words. Or it's time to start paying attention and being bold enough to speak better stories over people. But for some of you in this room, it's that last one. It's that life of character, that heart that has been healed and transformed. That's actually what you're longing for. That begins when you begin your life with Jesus. And for some of you, you are here for such a time as this to take your first step towards Jesus today. It's not an accident that you're here. We're about to see a whole bunch of people take their next steps of baptisms. It's gonna be amazing. For some of you, it's time to take your first step. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pray for all of us. And then those of you who wanna start following Jesus, you don't know everything, but you just know you wanna take that first step and be transformed, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to pray with me. Not aloud, it's not gonna be weird. We'll do it in silence. But I want you to say yes to Jesus and let him begin to transform you. So let's all pray. God, we thank you for your goodness. We thank you that you are a powerful God, the only being who speaks and life is formed. And God, because of your goodness to us, you've invited us to partake in that type of ministry by being people who speak life into other people. Give us eyes that see, ears that hear, mouths that speak your goodness to those around us. And God, for those in this room who want to take a first step towards Jesus, even now, would you give them that boldness to say yes? If that's you in this room, I want everybody else to keep your eyes closed. I want you just to look up at me just for a second so I can see your face, and I'm gonna invite you to pray with me. Okay, I see you. I see you. Open the balcony. I see you. All right, if that's you, I wanna invite you to pray with me again, just in your heart. Dear Jesus, I don't know everything, but I know I want to start following you today. Would you save me? Would you heal me? Would you lead me? Thank you for your death and resurrection. Today is the moment I start living for you. Amen. Amen. Hey, thanks for having me, Timberlake.